Okay, so this is the third video, and in this part of the instruction, we're going to talk about student grouping. So we've done most of the other components. We just have a few components left, but now we're going to talk about student grouping. If you've already done your methods and activities, then you kind of have an idea of how you're grouping students. Here, you're going to talk about all the different types of groups you have. So don't just think of it as, oh, well, students aren't working in groups, so I don't have to put it there. No, it's talking about, are you grouping students independently? Or are they going to work individually? Are they going to be in whole group? Are they going to be in small group? And hopefully most lessons will kind of have a variety of these things. So my students are going to be working independently, whole group, and in small group. So I'm going to put that information here. Independently, and you don't have to write in full sentences. Like just having like bullet points is fine. For the bell ringer and exit slip, okay, then I know they're working independently at the beginning and the end of the lesson. And then we're going to do whole group for the grading the homework and the whole class discussion part during the concept development. And then I'm like, okay, we are doing group work, so I need to determine the size of my groups, the number of my groups, which you may just have one of those pieces of information there, but I think if you can, if you have enough information about your class, then you can decide how many are going to be in each group. And you can totally make up the number in your class. I made up that I have 20 students. So I'm going to make 5 groups of 4 for the concept development activity. And I will count students off to form groups. So I'm saying how I'm grouping them. You might decide to group them, let the students choose. You might decide to have them like partner up. You may count off, you may put stickers, you may pre-group them based on ability. Like these are the decisions that you're going to make. Next week you're reading about grouping, so that should help. Or you might have already read it by now. The grouping chapters, that kind of will help you. And then I made this little comment here. I'm going to make sure that Kevin and Jose are not in the same group. Okay, so even though I'm counting off, I'm going to make sure of that information. Then down here it says, why have you chosen this grouping? I need to explain my grouping for all of these. So the bell ringer is independent, so students have time to reflect and write on a topic, and while teacher does attendance. And it keeps class quiet during that time for me to get everything ready. That may seem like a really lame reason, but it is actually really appropriate. Bell ringers, one is to get the students on task and ready to learn, but also for you to be able to do attendance, deal with students that were absent the day before, any other kind of issues that may happen like right at the beginning of class. Okay, and then I'm going to do whole group for grading because this is a quick way to grade papers and find out student questions, and then I can answer all the questions all at once. And then small groups, I'm putting them in groups of 4 because the desks are already grouped in 4s. That's a great reason. So now I know that I don't have to move groups around. Students are going to have to get up and move around, but we're not going to have to move the desk around. I will number off so students are able to work with different people than they have been for the past few days because maybe they've been working at their group tables. And then Kevin and Jose will not be in the same group because they were fighting earlier this week and still need time to cool off. You can make up fake scenario situations in these, but you also will have the contextual factors as well. All right, so that's that section. So I'm there, methods, activities, procedures, we've done all that. Materials. Okay, now I'm down to accommodations. So what accommodations we made for children with special needs and then also differentiation. So we're looking at not just special needs, but also differentiation. So you're going to choose, in the lesson plan, it tells you, let's see, I'm seeing how many students it says that we have to differentiate for us. That way I do not lie to you. Adapt, and you know what, we're probably going to have to go to the rubric. Okay, down here, differentiation. So at least 2 different differentiation accommodation strategies are used for 4 different students. So you may be accommodating or differentiating in the same way for a couple students, but at least 4 students need to be differentiated for. So you're going to come over here. Oh, I know, I'm lying to you. Back to this, to the contextual factors and profile. So the first page kind of tells you some things about the school. So this could be really helpful because it tells you the type of courses, the things that they're really good at, kind of the parent involvement, demographics. Let's see. Then here you can see so here you can look at specific students in your class and kind of read some information about them. Like Anna is lower middle class Caucasian whose parents have high school diplomas. Anna has an above grade level reading level. She enjoys reading contemporary fiction and historical fiction. She loves band and art because they're creative and allow for movement. She has a hard time following material in both math and science. She prefers interpersonally learning, which means she likes group work. Oh, that's really great because I'm already doing that. She's a visual learner. She suffers low self-esteem due to her narcolepsy, which affects her performance in school. So it kind of gives you some information there. Let's see. Here's another one. Ben is introverted. He doesn't really apply himself. He is really, man, he's had a really tough life. He's been lashing out, so he's kind of undergoing therapy. He has a hard time paying attention in class and is not passing many of them. So you're like, okay, you only have to pick a few of these students, 4 students. And some of them are going to have similarities. Let's see. She enjoys playing the harp. She really likes English and science. She dislikes art and PE because they don't pose a challenge to her. She likes puzzles and CSI. So maybe you can be thinking about your students as you do this. What can you do to accommodate them? Maybe in the groups that you put them in, or how they work, or the type of assistance that they're going to get. Let's see. And you're just going to kind of scroll through here. Okay, so again, you'll need to look through this and kind of identify some things that maybe you can do to change for your students. So I know, I'm just going to come down, and I know that Mason is interpersonal learner. And there's some others that are too, but I'm going to go ahead in my lesson plan. And really, I should have told you to look at that beforehand, to look at those students and really think about them. But you can make changes in your lesson now that you know, and say, how am I differentiating for these students? And you might already be meeting the needs of some of these students. So I'm going to write Mason enjoys group work. So this lesson is differentiated for him because students will work in small groups. I mean, that's that easy. Like, he likes to work in groups, so I'm helping meet that need, like that Mason really learns best. So there he is, and he's not the only one, so that's 1 student. I need 4 students here. So make sure you have 4 students completed for. And it can be 2 different types of differentiation or accommodation strategies. You don't need 4 different strategies. So I could say Mason and Julie. I don't think she's in there, but Mason and Julie enjoy group work. So then that would be 2 students. And then I would just need 1 more accommodation or modification. I mean, a differentiation strategy. So you can just go through here and see. And if you need to make other changes, then make other changes. And it could be that maybe that 1 student is really struggling. I think he was towards the beginning, working with other people. Who was he? Ben, maybe? So maybe like maybe Ben is preferring to work alone. So I might say Ben has asked to work alone this week, so he will not be grouped. So he will complete the concept development activity alone. He will still share out with the rest of the class if he is feeling up to it. Otherwise, he will write out his responses. Now think about it, you might be like, well, that's not fair. How can he do this? But think, Ben is 16. If he doesn't want to do the work, he's not going to do the work. I just need to make sure, or, in this case, he's 12. I just need to make sure that he can classify these things. Yes, I want him to work in a whole group, and I think that's really important, but maybe today that's not the most important thing. I need him to focus on the standard. And so I may say, yeah, Ben, you can work alone. You can put these things together, and then either he can share a whole class or maybe he can write it out. This is just another way to meet the needs of that student and to make sure that you're still assessing that student. He's having a safe learning environment that he needs. And that's it. Now we have all the components, and you'll just want to make sure and kind of go through there, make sure that you think your explanations are great, that you've completed all the components, and I would check yourself against that rubric and template. If you have questions as you're working on this, send it to me, email me, let me know.